So good morning, good Sunday, and beautiful, beautiful day in the land of God. Here in the USA, around the globe, we are sharing this beautiful sunny day with everybody around the United States. I welcome everyone. My heart is very open, happy for having you here today at BSH Center, Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center. And we are so opening our heart, our soul to welcome our beloved brother, and a great speaker every time comes and bring us a lot of spiritual knowledge, our beloved Anton. So for us to start this beautiful day, this blissful day, we will invite our dear sister Sunshine to do the opening prayer for us.
I invite everyone to close their eyes and let us together open our inner eyes. And let us first anchor ourselves, our presence in our physical form right here, right now, releasing all thoughts. And let us feel our feet connected to our dear Mother Earth, saying hello, dear Mother. And let us connect consciously with our breath, taking deep, beautiful, purifying inhales and equally powerful exhales. And while we continue staying present with our breath, let us say hello to our heart center, even our physical hearts, with so much gratitude. Our heart center keeps us connected, lovingly and kindly, as our guide and model Jesus Christ showed us, to our brothers and sisters in all realms, not just humans, the four-legged, all the animals and plants. Let us now, with so much love in our hearts, say hello to God, to our older brother Jesus Christ who came before us, to the mentors of this group, the healing doctors, our own mentors. And let us warmly welcome our brothers and sisters in spirit who are here today too, ready to learn. Thank you, dear God, for giving us this opportunity to meet on this platform, spread out all over, and yet of one mind and one heart. We pray that our minds will be aligned with love in our own hearts and ready to listen to what comes through today so we can incorporate it deeply into our soul and practice it in our day-to-day affairs. Thank you, dear God, for your mercy, for your love, for your support, for your healing. And with this, we humbly ask for permission to begin today's service. And so be it, and so it is.
Thank you, dear sister. Thank you for this warmth, love in our hearts, and expanding this beautiful prayer to each of us. I would invite each of you, as the mentors are asking us, to make our home, or the place we are right now, this beautiful point of light, to benefit our family, to benefit our neighborhood, to benefit our city, and to benefit the state. As the mentor is showing to me right now, in this beautiful vision, the beautiful Mother Earth, and where we are right now, enlightening this beautiful home as our physical self and spending this beautiful energy united with the spiritual mentors and our individual mentors, together with our beloved Lord Jesus Christ, our Divine Mother Mary, and the beautiful, beautiful, beloved, Almighty Father, Mother God. In reverence and love and respect to each of us, the mentors asking again, those who are in need of spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical healing, you or your loved ones or someone that you know, just to bring their energy to this sacred place that we create here, an online spiritual center of Dr. Bezerra de Menezes. And we want to thank everybody and let you know that Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center is a not denominate, and we are welcome every religion, everyone who want to join us. We have our daily prayer to pray together for peace, for harmony, for healing. Every day at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will putting on the chat the web page that you can join, the link of the Zoom that you can join, is the same link that you are joining now. Every day, our daily prayer, 6 p.m., is a healing prayer group. And every Monday, BSH Center mediums meeting together for education of mediumship and for service, where the Spirit will be giving us the opportunity to pray for those who are in need. If you, your loved one, someone that you know, you can write their names in the chat. We will collect the name. And once a month, we pray for 4 Mondays. And every day in our daily prayers for those are in on our healing books. So you can just write their names and the city where they are, in city and state. So, and you can get together, ask them to get together with us for the healing service. Praying in their home. So they will be receiving with the spiritual group, spiritual healers. They will be visiting you during the night when you are connected through prayers. So every Monday, after the prayer, the medium group meet to study and to gather together to spread this beautiful service with the spiritual mentors. It is only for the mediums of the BSH Center. That is not for public. On Tuesday, every Tuesday, we meet together to study with Divine Light, our dear sister Sunshine, healing and self-healing, 6:30 p.m. Our dear sister Sunshine, we're putting the link of the Zoom so you can join her every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. after the daily prayer. So she almost finished Healing and Self-Healing. It's a very good book by Dr. Andre Moreira. Every Wednesday after the prayer, we studying together the inner renovation with Emmanuel and Chico Xavier. This is a inner transformation group that we will talk about virtues, our difficulties, and keeping the divine virtues within us, working, knowing the defect that we have inside of us, and how can we change ourselves to be a better citizen, a universal citizen. a better son, a better daughter of God on earth. So that will be benefit not just ourselves, but everyone around us. Love your neighbor as we love ourselves. So we have to love ourselves first to share and spread this love. And every Wednesday we do fraternal counseling. What is fraternal counseling? Fraternal counseling is when you are spiritual or mental disturbed or emotional, have some emotional situation that you wish you have a counselor, spiritual counselor that will help you to understand your process. So you will contact us through email, and we will be making appointments with all the people are prepared with on the mediums or counselor prepared to listen to you and guide you through that. It is no charge. Our service, our service at the spiritual center are free of charge. On Thursday, we have the studying after the prayer group 6:30, Living Spring by Emmanuel. This group meets every Thursday, and they will be discussing and reading the books. And once a month, we have a physical meeting at Sacramento, California. For that, if you are in the area and would like to participate in a spiritual meeting and a physical healing and hands-on healing with this amazing group at BSH Spiritual Healing Center there in Sacramento, so you manifest yourself, and Regina will be contacting you. Leave your cell phone number, your email, so we'll be contacting you. And that is every Thursday. Friday and Saturday, we just keep our daily prayer. And every Sunday, we are here for the public education, for having this wonderful guest that is coming and spread their spiritual knowledge with us. And that will be always, every Sunday, we have a new speaker and a new topic. And 6:30 p.m. after the prayer, the daily prayer, we have a new book starting, I believe today, Sunshine. We are starting the new studying book today called Life Goes On. It's a wonderful book. If you consider to learn how life goes after the so-called death, come and join Sunshine's class. Not just she's an amazing teacher, and but you will learn a lot. Well, the process, why you reincarnate in certain family, why you married some such and such, why you have these children, why love some, hate others, what do you have this great affinity with some and doesn't have with others? What happened with the soul after the so-called death? Where are you going? How life goes over there? It's amazing, amazing, very good book. And it's every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. with our dear sister, Sunshine. I really invite all of you to join and participate in our groups. You are all welcome. So for now, we love to present our beloved brother, Anton. As most of us know him so well, our beloved brother Moses, as we call him. And Anton is a very interesting. With your permission, Tom, I would say the first time Brazilian spiritual healing went to Manhattan, New York, and we met Anton. Was like, it's just reunited. Like our soul knows each other forever. And our heart was pumping, opening, like we were spiritually hugging each other. It was amazing, amazing. It's still amazing every time when we get together. We care for each other spiritually. We are always together. And Anton has these amazing, wisely spiritual ways to teaching. And the most common things that we have from all the spiritual work and healing work that we do was the same mentor. And we say, when he saw the picture of Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, and he has a picture of Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, even a dream with Dr. Bezerra, and then we knew that immediately moment that we are brothers of other lands, that God and our Lord Jesus have reunited us in our dear Mother Mary, because our Mother Mary, it is a great mentors of our jobs, our spiritual work. So I thank God. I really thank God for that, beloved Anton. So Anton Baraschi practice bioenergy healing in a medical King Kong, in person and long distance remote, and Dr. Nidia Carrero's integrative practice at Dr. Nidia's Carrero Integrative Practice in New York, in Manhattan. So he does a lot of healing, a lot of teachings, and a lot of work in a spiritual level, emotional and mental. I would say again, Anton, forgive me. I recently had cancer, breast cancer, starting February, the diagnosed. And since the moment I told Anton my diagnosis, he stood with me from day one to the last operation I have received. Until today, I believe he's still, but I was that, you know, that brother who hold your hand and say, dear sister, I'm here with you. So I'm so thankful for you, Anton, for that. So we don't just have spiritual guides on the spiritual world, but we have here our spiritual guides incarnate in this beautiful journey with us. He's an amazing teacher. He does great dedication to his mission here on earth. I don't want to say much, Anton. I just want to help everybody. Please help me to welcome our beloved brother, Anton. Thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you so much. Welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Tanya. It's a privilege for me to be among like hearts. And it's also a privilege to be able to open up. For when we talk about intimate spiritual things, experiences of ours, we have a shyness of sort. Are we doing right? Is it okay to open the heart in such a way that we become vulnerable? In such a way that we maybe discuss things that will be subject to questioning. And this morning, as I was anticipating and looking at the time gap, I'm on the East Coast, I asked my mentors, I said, what am I going to talk today? What am I going to tell them? Because the theme we had selected about, 3-4 weeks ago, how to work with guides. And they told me, just open up. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll be grateful for your patience. Because when you just talk, often it gets boring. So simply, I will say like this. The first time when I encountered a voice of a mentor was in my 20s. I had defected from Romania and I had just received a visa to emigrate to the United States. And as a young person with a little bit of education in things of life, I went out with my friends to get drunk before the day when I was leaving Germany for the United States. And after about ingesting half a bottle of Ballantine, the driver next to me, who had just got himself a new BMW, God said, let's go to the Autobahn. Let's go to the highway. Let's try this little baby we got in here. And what happened is that on the way to the highway, it was a small road, and it had just started snowing. And just as he was taking around the corner, there was a big truck coming with the light the other way. He started skidding, and before you know it, we find ourselves upside down on a stone wall. And I remember the car going tonk, 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 tonk over the stones. And I was upside down. And in my mind, I asked myself, am I dying now? And that's when a voice said, no, your time is not now. And after that, on the coattail of that sentence that I heard from an invisible mentor, came the knowledge that my life is being preserved for a purpose. It took maybe 20 years before I was actually clear of what my purpose was. But the feeling of being kept alive for some kind of a mission stayed with me, and it unraveled slowly. Now, it was a long time before I heard the mentors again, and this happened about the year 2000. With a gap of maybe 20 years or so from that experience I told you, maybe more, maybe about 30. And when I sent, one of my Argentinian friends, knowing that I'm still sick, even though I practice Qigong and I have, I dabble into many alternative modalities such as homeopathy. She said, okay, give me your picture. I'm going to see John of God. And I didn't believe a thing. I gave her the picture because I had nothing to lose. But Brazil to me was like the end of the world, like the place where you go and you see the turtles behind the edge of the world. But, months later, she comes back to me and has a bag with 9 vials of capsules Passiflora alata, And she said, John of God put an X on your picture and said, you take those herbs. So that night, I took one of the herb capsules, and I went to sleep. And then my right hand went and made a pass to me. Mind you, I had energy savvy from practicing Qigong, but this was different. It wasn't me controlling the hand. But it was so loving what I felt behind, so loving, so comprehensively understanding me, that I wasn't afraid. And I got very excited. I wrote to my friend Graciela an email. Look what happens, those herbs you gave me last night, my hand went like this. And she said, well, a lot of people who take the herbs will have some kind of a spiritual opening or phenomena, but I never heard of this one before. And now I waited until the night came because I went to bed, I took the capsule, and nothing happened. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I didn't sleep the whole night. I said, well, oh my God, what did I do that connected me? And I remember I had my hand stretched like that, like a star. So I did that, and it caught. And now my hand went and gave me a finger pressure treatment. I had an asthma condition, and when the points were pressed, I felt relief. I understood there is something going on in here. The intelligence wasn't mine, but I had reached out and the cooperation started. And from that night on, every night, I would interface with this invisible doctor. And in the beginning, I would ask questions that can be answered with yes or no. Is this for the lungs? Is this the form that occurs in my mind? How is this connected to the pressure? And yes, no, yes, no. But then in about a month to a month and a half, this became a full-fledged conversation. I would ask questions and I would get answers. What was puzzling me is how did I hear this inside my mind? It took me about 2 or 3 years before I figured it out. But the experience that followed was even more intense. One night, the invisible doctor that I felt around me, guiding my hands, drew closer and kind of stunk into me. And then they were like I had two egos for a split second. And then they came back into focus. And then I heard a voice say to me, "We bestow on you the gift of healing." And I said, "What do I do now?" And they said, "You go work on your mother." And I called my mom and I said, "Hey, Ma, the spirit told me to work on you." What? But anyway, she didn't object. She let me. So I went to her and I did with my hands what I had learned on myself in the previous month and a half. And about 3 weekends later, on Monday, she calls me very excited and she says, "Anton, I don't know what you did, but I start seeing out of my bad eye." And this was the first time when I had an inkling that this actually works. And then the voice told me, "It's time for you to go to Brazil." Now, I had asked this mentor, the presence that I felt behind the manifestation, "Who are you?" And the word that came through was somewhat resembling Oswego. I didn't hear very clearly. I said, "Oswego, Oswego." Well, when I went to the Casa of St. Ignatius, I heard about Dr. Oswaldo Cruz. And the clue was that as this phenomena was happening with me, I could not tolerate anymore a watch band on my hand. It was irritating me. I couldn't have, I would feel the little pulsations of the battery and the mechanism, you know. So I couldn't, my hands became sensitized. And at the Casa, you know, they have a lot of lore, you know, lot of legends, and that's where I found out that this is actually a clue that Dr. Oswaldo Cruz cannot tolerate watches. They stop right he's present and so on. Anyway, he didn't stay with me a long time because eventually, you know, I followed the lead and I did go to the Casa. And when I landed in the Brazil's Abadiânia, first thing that happened is that I started hearing like all the radio stations at once. It was dizzying. And took maybe 3 days before I was able to tune in, to kind of dial in the frequency. I knew who was talking. I would have some kind of an inner sensation of a presence, and the signature of the presence together with the voice combined into actually me knowing who that being was. And also I got introduced to the presence of collective bodies, what they call phalanges. They call them phalange, you know, and it's a group of spirits, and some of them are doing the lower work, and some are doing the middle work, and some of them are sort of like leaders. So if I was saying Oswaldo Cruz, I didn't mean just that entity. It meant some kind of a group out of which the leader appeared prominently. I didn't understand very much, but this occurred into my soul, and I didn't have too many people to talk to about what I experienced. But over there at the Casa, there is some kind of a protocol. You go and you sit in the current in the morning. The afternoon you go, you eat, and then in you go back into the current. So there were morning experiences and afternoon experiences. And every time I would go, a different portion of my development took place. I was exposed to things that lived into my soul that I had no idea. So I'll tell you just one. I had a reluctance when I saw beggars. I had an experience in life that kind of shocked me. And when I would see a beggar, I would cross the street. And I knew this resided in me. So that particular day when I'm walking toward the casa, 4 or 5 came after me, you know, and I was uncomfortable. I told them, okay, I'll give you something when I come later, no? But when I went into the current, some kind of an inner opening occurred in which the benevolence and love emitting from the groups of mentors washed out my reluctance. When I came out at lunch and I saw the beggar, I had the inner feeling that those are my brothers and sisters. And I went, I held their hand, I put a little money in there, and I didn't have any more that reluctance. I'll tell you, something had washed out. So slowly I was understanding how mentors work and polish our souls so that the interaction can continue. They flag the imperfection that you have, and then they guide you into a life opportunity in which you can resolve it. What happened is that after I returned to the States, after about 3 weeks of mentorship in Abadiania, I was told to go and apprentice with Earth Master, which I did, about 12 of them. However, the guidance stayed with me, and I had to figure out slowly, how does this work? Because the guides were replacing each other. It wasn't the same one. So I got introduced to Master Chang, Chinese Ascended Master. I got introduced to spirit doctors. Dr. Osvaldo Cruz, and then it was followed by Dr. Augusto, and then Jose Valdivino, and then Jose Penteado, and then a bunch of others that showed up. And they were taking turns, sort of like if I would ask a question of a certain type, I noticed that it wasn't the same guide. Or even if I would call on to one by name, he would say, no, it's not me. You have to go to this other one. This is the guy who's going to tell you about it. And Master Chang stayed as a permanent one. I had him, and I still have him. After several years, he's still with me. But some other ones were instilling into me a particular form of development, and then they were disappearing. So I will tell you about Beatus and Benedictus, that were a pair of guides, one that took care of the lower part of the realm, and one took care of the upper part of the realm. And they were like twins. The one, of course, this is images that occur into your soul. There is no physicality to it. But when they would show up in my meditation, Beatus was, what do you think it was? He was a beggar. He was a beggar for God. He had no teeth, looked sort of like a Goya painting, and he would dangle from side to side. And in his mind, it was the light of the sun and the light of spirit at once. He was in a beatitude, in a state of inner ecstasy. And above him was Benedictus, which was a vertical figure that in a constant state of blessing people. And the two of them incorporated into me, giving me this dichotomy that I could understand. The form that you saw as a beggar was completely into a surrender to spirituality. There was nothing, no physical cold or heat or too much sun or hunger that could stop that being from being in a constant state of ecstasy. And his twin was that appearance that would give the blessing. Now, they stayed with me for about a year, year and a half, instilling into me this feeling. They would come in, they would allow me to experience their dichotomy, and then they would retreat. And maybe a few years before, some of that attitude started trickling down into my deeds. They were very patient. And they are patient because they are eternal. You have time, we'll wait. If you're not ready, we'll wait for you. Now, Master Chang was a different type of a guide. He was much closer to the earth realm. And I asked, he actually, I met him in another medium. I went to a workshop, and this particular medium, Reverend Nancy Needham, was channeling Master Chang. So I raised my hand at some point when Master Chang was incorporated, and I said, Master Chang, can I come and touch hands with you? See, I'm tactile. When I touch someone, I know a lot about them. So Master Chang said, yeah, come. And I put my hands into her hands, and he said, not like this, like that. So spreading them. And what took place was very interesting. I went inside the medium. I felt Master Chang's signature, and then he went inside me. And then he said, it looks like we know each other. And I said, it is. So I do feel that. And after this, he became permanent. About a week later, as I was commuting to work from Suffern to Hoboken, and from Hoboken, I would take the ferry to downtown Manhattan. Just as I'm about to board the ferry, Master Chang shows up and says to me, may I come in? I have not seen the sea in a long time. And I said, all right. And then so he squeezed inside me. And from this point on, it was like I'm watching TV with a friend. We had the same screen. And as I was about to sit in the ferry on the bench, I said, no, can you go upstairs? It's a better view. So I went upstairs and I sat down, and at this moment, he took over my sight and he looked at the sky. And in the sky, there were those two seagulls floating on the air current and turning right and left, their heads examining what was taking place below. And seagulls were in perfect blend with the air current. They were gliding on them in perfect harmony. And then Master Chang took my eyesight and he looked at the surface of the water. And the water had those plates of red, the colors were like green and white and black and blue, and the pressure from underneath and the pressure of the air created a surface that undulated, again in perfect balance. And then he looked toward Manhattan, which was behind, on the other side of the river. And I would see the buildings, like that. And there was a hum of will emanating from the island, all the collective wills of the people going to work, pushing businesses, traffic and so on, like very powerful, like a hum. And it was such a contrast from the balance that I felt from the seagulls and from the surface of the water. And then he looked at the ferry that had started to move, cutting a path into the surface of the water. So the contrast in between the perfect balance in the forces of nature and the will of man became evident in a way that it couldn't be expressed in words. I felt it. And Master Chang looked again at the sky, looked again at the water, looked at me and said, "Thank you very much." And he pulled out. And then I went to work and I looked at my computer where I had budgets and deadlines and projects. And for about an hour, I couldn't do anything but breathe because this experience had been a teaching without many words. It was in a manner that I had not experienced before, in which my soul was taking places and the understanding was simultaneous in the intuitive form. Now, Master Chang stayed with me for a few years every day. He would wake up, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, until we agreed that it's not a good time because I'm too tired in the day. And he would teach me things. He would sometimes make jokes. He'd say, "Why my students' room so messy?" No. And, I would ask him questions. And I'll give you a sample. Like one day I asked him, "Master Chang, what is truth?" And he said to me, "Truth is the chord uninterrupted leading to the beginning of creation." And I could not see it any other way afterwards. For in a few simple words, he had given me a felt understanding of how can you tell if something is true. And, probably as an amusing story, one of my teachers, Rosalind Bruyere, has Master Chang as her main guide. So I was at one of her classes, and at the end, she incorporated Master Chang. So I raised my hands. I said, "Master Chang, I know you. I know you really well, but I don't remember when I know you from. You never told me. Would you tell me where did we meet originally?" So the medium, Rosalind, looked at me and said, "You don't remember?" I said, "No, I don't. I'm sorry." "Okay, I'll give you a clue. When we met the first time, you were looking in a mirror." And I said, "I know, it sounds like a clue to you, but I still don't remember." So Master Chang turned serious and said, 10,000 years ago, when you were in northern Atlantis, which is now where the Ural Mountains are because the earth shifted, you were a princess and you were not a very good student. So never mind, for the rest of the class, everyone called me Princess Anton, but I understood that the intimacy of the relationship comes because of the lengthy time in which this master and myself have been connected. So I have no hesitation whatsoever to surrender the key to my car when he comes in, because trust has been established over a very long period of time. Now, this is a thing that I think I should dwell into. How can we trust a mentor. When the voices appear and we are selected for this experience, how can we trust that being? And I will tell you that I was protected originally. I know I was praying and so on, but because I went to a very religious place like the Casa, where the name of God is pronounced every 10 seconds in some form, and people pray 24/7 in some cases. Just like Tanya was saying that the Bezerra Center, there is a lot of prayer every day. Somebody does it, maintaining a link to divine. It isn't so difficult to trust. But in our time, people obtain openings sometimes by taking substance, ayahuasca or mushrooms or sometimes even marijuana, It's so spread that it's impossible to avoid it, When people grow up, they become teenagers, those are coming to them. So that would be a loosening of the connection in between their souls and spirits and their physical body and the energetic body. So they may experience voices, but not necessarily the ones that are educational or loving. And often people say, how can I trust that the voice says the truth? It's a good question, isn't it? Some people like Tanya, who grew up like this, to her it occurred slowly, probably didn't have to have this experience. But I encounter people who tell me that, they cannot tell the difference between a high being and an obsessor. So I think we should dwell a little bit on this phenomena or how to deal with it. Because in my beginning, once, I remember I was trying to connect to my guides. I had just discovered this way of interacting. And I hear in my ear a voice saying a bad word, repeated. Tap, 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 tap. So I asked my mentor, what is this? And the mentor said, you let him in. So I had to meditate on this. What do you mean I let him in? I thought that when you do this kind of an activity, it is pure and protected. And yet I understood in meditation that you have to have discernment. If you have an apartment, do you leave the door open? Or you close it and you have a little peephole and you see who's outside before you let them in? Well, the same thing in here. You have to have a peephole, a protocol, some kind of a protection before you surrender yourself to an experience. So the simplest protection is prayer before you go into such a state. And the second one is to have a guiding mentor with you. You could invoke a mentor. You could select one. I would say that a mentor of this kind would be a saintly person of the past who have purified their astral body or their soul to the point that it became transparent, such that spiritual content can unload through them. And because they have a purified soul, when you are in their presence, it acts somewhat like a spiritual bodyguard. Now, it could be and it can be from any tradition. Some people will choose Kuan Yin. Some people will choose Mother Mary. Some people will choose a saint. or a sage. In the old times, often it was the teacher, or the teacher had that relationship. So if you invoke or you think of the signature of your teacher, your yogi, his lineage would come and protect you. But today, with the experimentations that we have and with the freedom that has been bestowed upon us, sometimes people join the spirit world without discernment. So they come in touch with what we call the lower realm. So about the lower realms, I would like to say that we have them in the physical world. And we have common sense in avoiding mingling with them. But when it comes to spirituality, common sense often lacks. Let's say that you come from out of town into New York and you land in Port Authority. Is Port Authority New York? I mean, it's in New York, but it's not representative of the best things that New York City has, like the museum, the opera, or the park, or the shopping alley by Rockefeller Center. Port Authority is a place where you find a lot of drifters, beggars, pimps, people who, sex workers. And if you would take a snapshot of that, you say, well, this is New York. I can say, yes, it is, but it isn't representative of the best part. And the same thing happened in the spirit world. You cross over, but the spirits that come are not necessarily evolved. They may be attached so much to physicality, then they drift around the realm next to the physical one, looking for opportunities in people who have loose connection in between consciousness and physical. And they could be from illness, people that are ill, they're people who indulge in substance, or they're very tired, or they just don't have good thoughts in their mind. And they're drifting. They have openings that lowy spirit can latch on. I mean, you know, in the physical world, we also have bugs and we have mosquitoes and stuff. Do you think they don't exist in the spirit world? They do. So don't cross over the first time if you didn't already, because some of you did and some of you are proficient. Maybe you could add to what I'm saying. But select a protected environment for things like this. Clean the space you're in. Smudge it or keep an altar. Use a prayer before to connect yourself to and align yourself to a stream of cosmic events. And have a mentor, have a saint, or, you know, San Gennaro or Rita de Cascia, or a teacher who will do that for you. Invoke their presence before you open the door. You will have a much better time. And if the presence that you're dealing with, seems a little off or too eager or too retreat or doesn't give you a complete confidence, ask the question, what is your relationship with Christ? And see what happens. For it is an aligned spirit. It will, before you finished asking the question, it will say, He is my Lord, I'm aligned. I obey Him. Things of this nature. And if not, there will be a shyness and it will be some kind of an explanation and they'll drift away. Because you have exposed the weakness. You can ask a mentor their name, and often they will tell you. And sometimes it's a name that you haven't heard before. You know, like I asked my higher self once, I said, "What's your name? Who are you?" And he says, Adonai. I said, "No, Adonai? No, Adonai. It means master in Hebrew." I had to look it up on Google. And I asked my angel, "What's your name?" And the name that came through was Atuni, Athuny. And I said, "What does it mean?" It says, "He who lives in God's will." So it's not an earth language, but it expresses the spiritual name, which is essentially what you do. Sometimes they will tell you that they are a collective being. And this is what happened. You know, Tanya started mentioning about Dr. Bezerra. She saw me with the picture, but she doesn't know, she didn't say what happened prior to this. You know, so this is the story how I actually met Tanya. I was at the Edgar Cayce Center where I had a practice at the time. And a gentleman, a businessman came in and he said, "I want an energy treatment." And I said, "All right, come into my office." And I did work with him. And then after that, he said, "You know, my business partner, Andrew, is arranging the visit to New York of two mediums, Greg and Tanya. And I think you should meet him." Okay, so now what I didn't tell you is that I was alerted at the visit of this person because of this businessman. Because the night before, I had a very strange dream. I dreamed that John of God, Joao Dadeus, comes next to me, kisses me on the cheek, and whispers in my ear, "Bezerra de Menezes." Right? Now, it's the only time when John of God made an advance at me. I'm joking. Because right? He came, you know, in my dream, but it wasn't him. This is the imagery they put that word into my ear. I didn't know Dr. Bezerra. I didn't know who he was and what he did, but the word was very clear. So this gentleman comes, I treat him, he tells him about his business partner, and the business partner calls me and we talk, and he said, "Well, those two mediums, Greg and Tanya from the center, Bezerra de Menezes." I said, "Oh my God, this is too much of a synergy." Now, I hear it at night, and now I find out that those two people are from the Bezerra Center from, I think, Oakland or Sacramento, I forgot. Now, the next thing that happens is that we arrange for Tanya and Greg to have a healing in New York at the Open Center. And we got about 120 or 130 people coming to this. It was a big crowd. And I had some students at the time who volunteered to help. You know, when you put people on the table, you take them down, you prepare them, you know, it's a whole thing. And when we started, Greg and Taya told me to go and sit in the current, you know, go on the chair and then give energy. But then as soon as I sat to do that, they said, no, you come here and you work with us. And it was, you know, 120 people, they take a long time. It was a couple of hours before we completed everyone. And at the end, Greg decided to give a healing to the volunteers. So all the volunteers were sitting on chairs, and he comes in front of us, and he incorporates, and he talks in Portuguese. And the person who was sitting next to me was from the Spiritist Center in Manhattan, Jusara Korngold. And Greg finished talking in Portuguese, and Jussara says, "Did you understand what he said?" I said, "No." He said that even though you are from a different tradition and a different place, you're the only one who truly knows who I am. I am Dr. Bezerra de Menezes. So this was the second time when one of those extraordinary events happened. And the third time happened about 2 weeks later when I was giving a class in psychography. And, people started doing automatic writing. And I had chosen, to do it in a way in which, somebody would support the people, put a person, keep the hands on their back. And I would sit in front of them so we control the process. Don't have any of those wild spirits come in, So after I've seen, it was a lady who was writing, yes, no, yes, no. So I asked her, what are you doing? She says, I didn't know it's so easy to get answer to your questions. So she was mentally asking questions and the end was just writing down. So there's this other lady who started writing poetry. And it was very nice. I mean, I didn't keep it, but at the end, I decided to do myself the thing. So I took a piece of paper, I closed my eyes and left. And then the hand wrote, I am Dr. Bezerra de Menezes. I supervise this group. Love, faith, and charity is the subtle air we all breathe. And that is how I met this particular field. Now, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes does not incorporate, but often when I work with clients, I will feel his presence and some of the spirits will come and stick their hand into my hand and I'll find my hand doing certain things that I wouldn't know what they are, but I trust that in time I do. For in the beginning, mentors would come and work through me. And now when I ask, okay, Lord, send the proper entity for this brother or sister I'm working with, they come and they say, you're the entity. Because the training is to a point that, for every day, they have other things to do. All right, this is the end of my story. If you have any questions, go ahead.
So thank you, Anton, for this talking and this sharing of your experience with us. It is very interesting as we're talking, and Spiritism teaches us a lot about the connection with our mentors, the importance of our mentors, and why they are around us, surrounding us. And what I like is when we are parents, we are on a mission as a guide for our children, and we have to mentoring them throughout the life until they get the age, the adult, and they can go and do things from their own selves, making decision, studying, education on their own, no graduations. So what the Spiritism, I think in a Gospel according to Spiritism, they would tell us, God loved us so much that he gave us a guardian angel to be around us, to be surround us. And for us to see that the spiritual mentor, we have different stages of hierarchy. And then we say they are workers of God. They are workers of the light. Most of those are in the mission to be our individual mentors or mentors of a group or mentor of a city, of a state, of a country, of a nation. Those are spirits who are in a very high hierarchy, and those are spirits very well prepared to be on that position. We will see the Christ, Jesus Christ, as he is the great architect. We will say the great architect of planet Earth, and he is the great mentor of the planet Earth. And we would say in The Life Goes On, the book of Emmanuel and Chico Xavier, that he is the governor of our galaxy. So we will see the individual mentors and the difference of the mentors and protector spirit. Are the mentors, the guide, they are much evolved. They have been gone through all of this, like you said, the mastering themselves, and they will be good and in a position to be the master, to teach us, to guide us through what we have in accordance, even before we were planning this life, the physical life on earth. And the protector spirit are those around us who was a family member, even in this life, who loves us so much, have a lot of affinity, and ask God to be around us, to protect us, interfering in not changing, because they will not interfere in our free will, but they will protecting us to do bad things, or others do bad things to us. Not 100% that we see, they do not interfere in the law of karma or in the law of free will. So that is the difference, that God's love us so much that he allows to be on our side, doing our life, our trial on the earth, a good spirit to guide us closely to go through the goal of our spiritual evolution. So it is amazing what you explained this, your individual experience. It is so much so. If we are over here, we are about 23, 24 people participating here. And we all have our own experiences, our individual experience with our mentors, of our spiritual guiding us, or spiritual friends or families who are guiding us through it. So what you did, in appreciation of your speech, it is motivating us to be friend of our spiritual mentors, to be friend, to ask them, why not? They have a name, no? They have the name. They are spirit. They have their own experience, and they would be glad to tell. Some will say different names because there's so many lives in and out, and I will question. My question is, those spirit mentors will be reincarnate again, or don't need to be reincarnate again on the earth? But remember, the spirit, they are between lives. They have between dimensions. We are knowing as the third dimension of evolution in this galaxy. So most of the mentors have been living, finished that experience on the earth. Their moral have been worked out, and they are in service of God. So most of them does not need to reincarnate on the earth. Some of them will be incarnate because they request a mission to help the nation, to help the big family, or to help that community that he feels in his heart a lot of love. Like Dr. Bezerra, he has the opportunity to be born, to go to the, like a fifth dimension, and he decided to be with us here in the third dimension world to help us to progress. So I really just want to say thank you for you sharing with us your experience with your mentors. And I'm sure someone here has something to ask or just to add. Thanks so much again. Is there any question, any comment?
I have a question. So I'm wondering, like, how do you recognize or build that ability to be able to know who your mentors are? Because, like, I don't have that knowledge, but I just get like feelings and stuff like that. So, like, how do you build that or get stronger at knowing and recognizing it and knowing if it is, or if it's just your intuition, or if it's somebody guiding you?
All right, let's see. It's a good question, definitely. Well, you don't know. That's the first thing. It's an act of faith. What we should know is that when the time comes, the mentor will approach you. Before that, you're creating an environment of anticipation, sort of like a mother who wants to get pregnant. Doesn't know if she's going to get a baby, but at some point, a gift from heaven will come. You know, and that is an interesting, way of describing it, I guess, because you're waiting for something to happen, and you purify yourself ahead of time. You know, the time comes, it will find you. You'll be in the subway, and you're going to hear a voice. Like I told you, mine happened in an accident. So I didn't plan it. But if you say, I would like to have this, perhaps you could talk about, I'm going to ask a person in this audience who had this experience of not having a mentor and having a mentor. Susan, can you tell us about your first experience? You have to unmute. Or you don't know how to unmute. On the lower left, you have a microphone.
Ah, did it work?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, for the first time.
Hi,
Wow.
Susan.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
Good.
I want to thank Anton. It brought back my 3 years in Brazil, and it changed my life completely. Because I just want to say, when I was working with you and Edgar Casey, one day you said to me, "You're Brazil material." I said, "What?" And you said, "They know your name, they know your history, and they're waiting for you." I said, "I don't know anyone in Brazil. I don't know what you're talking about." But I went to Brazil with your support. And that's where I started to have my mentors talking to me. And I'm on my third mentor now. The first was Hara, then Stone, and now I have Aho. And they've completely transformed my life by guiding and counseling, and it's an amazing experience. So that was my first experience in Brazil, when I was on the crystal beds, actually.
All right, so if you see, there is some kind of a pattern. You go out of your way to some place, or it may happen, let's say, by you attending the Bezerra classes, at some point you find out that one of those instances will happen. It doesn't matter what it is. Just always anticipate. Have this thing in the background of your mind. I would like to know my guides. And when the presence shows and you're not sure, ask for their name.
Mm-hmm.
Susan came with those names that, I'm sure in her 50 years as a social worker, she never heard before.
Yeah. Right, that's right.
And then the name contains a particular signature of the being, because they're specialized. Just like in a school, you have a geography teacher and you have a math teacher and you have a, I don't know, literature, you know, they come and they teach you a particular sequence of life. And, you know, maintaining cleanliness inside or having thoughts that are connected mostly to permanent things like peace, love, compassion, you know, kinship, and not having thoughts that overwhelm you with the, you know, trials of life. I know, but at least in the moments when you try to connect, introduce those thoughts. That's what the reason many people pray or meditate. You know, clean the slate of your soul so that reflective of a reality that, you know, above us.
Okay, thank you. What I hear sometimes, especially like at night, is I hear my name, but that's it. And I don't know why. I can hear someone saying my name. And then and that's it. So I just kind of let it go at that point.
Yeah, remember we are surrounded by spirits. We are surrounded, and sometimes, like I said before, our spiritual protectors are around us most of the time, because like Anton said, the spiritual mentors, they don't have time to be 24-hour centers with us and dictating what to do or not to do, because in fact they don't do that. They will be guiding us, give us intuition, like Anton said. I like when he said, you know, you be your own guide, no? Because I remember my spiritual mentors. We have the mentors of this group, the mentor of the studying group, the mentor of mediumship group, the mentor of the spiritual director of this group, Dr. Paulo, and Dr. Bezerra, that will be like the president of this challenge. And then I start to question, feel afraid because I don't feel their presence. I have not seen them. And I start to be fearful. And then they came later on and said, you know, if we are here to do everything for you, how do you evolve? You have to be doing your lessons, your homework. We are not here to do a homework for you. You have to go to your trial, go to walk in the road that you pay for you. So we are here to guide and support you, but we are not here to eat for you, to drink for you, to pee for you. They said like that, to poop for you. We are not here for that. You have to do your task. You have to do your job. So, but I just saying that when you say, I hear my name and I wait all day waiting for doing what is the next step. So they give me a good lessons on that. No. So we are almost on our time. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry because we are going to a meditation now for taking the opportunity, our beloved brothers here on town, and come and study with us. We offer you all that you need, and you're free to come and go and join our prayer group. And but in this moment, I just want to thank you all for being here with us. If you have a bottle of water to be blessed, the spiritual, remember, we are in this beautiful universe, and we are in this beautiful current of love. I feel our mentors united together with the mentors and the healing mentors of the Spiritual Healing Center. I really advise you, let we spiritually holding hands in this moment to receive a healing passes, a spiritual cleansing. Let's we put ourselves together in this beautiful harmony. And I invite you to open your heart, open your mind. And before we start the prayer, I invite you to make your request to God. What you are in need the most, beloved children of God. That's what the Spirit's asking. What do you need the most? Make your question. Make your request. As you make your individual question and request, let us together make the importance request for planet Earth, for peace among nations, brothers and sisters, for peace among our own selves and families. Let us together, my beloved brothers and sisters, visualize the humankind among the great masters, mentors, angels, saints, spiritual friends, and spiritual protectors, spiritual workers, spiritual healers and nurses, spiritual teachers, spiritual guides. Deus nosso Pai, que sois todo poder e bondade, dai a força, Senhor, àqueles que passam pelas provações. Dai a luz, Senhor, àqueles que procuram a verdade. Ponde, Pai, no coração dos homens a compaixão e a caridade. Deus, dai ao viajor a estrela guia, ao aflito o repouso, à criança o guia, ao órfão o pai. Senhor, que a vossa bondade se estenda sobre tudo que criastes. Piedade, meu Deus, para aqueles que ainda não vos conhecem. Esperança para aqueles que sofrem. Que a vossa bondade permita hoje e agora aos espíritos consoladores derramarem por toda parte a paz, a esperança, a fé, o amor e a caridade. Deus, um raio, uma faísca do vosso amor pode abrasar toda a terra. Deixa-nos, Pai, beber nessas fontes de bondade fecunda e infinita. E todas as lágrimas secarão, todas as dores acalmar-se-ão. Um só coração, um só pensamento subirá até vós, como um grito de reconhecimento e de amor. Com Moisés sobre a montanha, nós vos esperamos a vós. Ó poder, ó bondade, ó beleza, ó perfeição. E queremos, Pai, de alguma sorte, merecer a vossa misericórdia. Deus, dai-nos a força, Pai. Ajuda o nosso progresso, o progresso espiritual de toda a humanidade, a fim de subirmos até vós. Dai-nos, Pai, a caridade pura, dai-nos a fé, dai-nos a razão, dai-nos, Pai, a humildade, que farão de nossas almas espelho, onde se deve refletir a vossa divina e santa imagem. my beloved brothers and sisters, let us united once more in the Lord prayers to one another in gratitude to our Lord Jesus Christ, who sacrificed to come down to this planet, to this dimension, to help the humankind to understand about the great love of our divine Creator, our Heavenly Father. Let us together, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead not us into temptation, Father, or deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, thy is the power, and thy is the glory, forever and ever.